Hi everyone, this is Dr. Blakeney, and today we're going to talk about Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. He was born in Atlanta in 1929 to a prominent pastor at the Ebenezer Baptist Church, and by 19 he was ordained as a preacher himself. He thought about going into law, but ended up as a preacher, and part of that was due to the fact that he was a very good orator, a very good speaker. So by 1954, he ends up in his own church in Montgomery. He's 25 years old. This is the time of Brown versus the Board of Education, and it just so happens that this woman in 1955 refused to give her seat up for a white man on the Montgomery bus. Her name was Rosa Parks, and King was instrumental in helping set up the Montgomery Improvement Association, which led a nonviolent bus boycott for 381 days. In 1960, he moved back to Atlanta, where he became a co-pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church along with his dad. He was pretty famous at this time, and so by 1963, he helped Fred Shuttlesworth and Ralph Abernathy in the Birmingham campaign, where Bull Connor was the sheriff that was really treating African Americans inhumanely, using water cannons. This was seen on TV, and it kind of flipped the sentiment of many Americans regarding civil rights in the South. Martin Luther King stayed at the Gaston Hotel. The day he left, it was bombed. This is a hotel owned by a prominent black person, so his name was Gaston. So it was done purposefully, and you might have heard about the 4 girls that died on September 15th at the 16th Street Baptist Church. 2 other young black men died that day as well. King famously wrote his letter from a Birmingham jail during this time. And so a few months later, there is a march on Washington. And on August 28th, 1963, King gave his I Have a Dream speech, which was, it was of course written, but he also ad-libbed or spoke extemporaneously about what was happening through his skills as a preacher. After that, he met President Kennedy in the White House. That was a little bit controversial because President Kennedy did not want to be seen as publicly supporting Martin Luther King, in the sense of he needed the votes of the Southern Democrats, which is part of the reason why he would be in Dallas a few months later and get assassinated. He was trying to drum up support with Southern Democrats. Going back to Martin Luther King, in 1965, he finds himself in Selma. You have John Lewis and the SCLC that are doing a march from Selma to Montgomery. The first day is Bloody Sunday. A bunch of people as they were peacefully marching across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the police on the other side used all different attack dogs, water. They beat them, and so they tried again a couple days later. This time King led the march, but they turned away halfway through, which upset a lot of people because they were like, we should keep on going. We don't need to turn around. We need to stand up. But by the third time, 5 days later, I believe, they were successfully able to get to Montgomery, and King gave a big speech. By this time, he is the center of the civil rights movement, but he's also moving into human rights. And so he finds himself in Memphis in 1968, supporting striking sanitation workers, garbage collectors, as part of the Poor People's Campaign. He's staying at the Lorraine Hotel. Some other famous people like Abernathy and Jesse Jackson are there, and he is shot while he is standing outside his hotel room number 306 at the Lorraine Hotel, and he dies. This was national news. It was devastating for a lot of people. Robert Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's brother, was also assassinated right around this time. And so King was, his body was taken back to Atlanta, where he was in a coffin led by 2 mules, and he was finally laid to rest. So that's Martin Luther King. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the classroom soon. Take care.